Hello, hello, hello.
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 All right.
I'm all right. Are you all right?
I'm all right.
You don't sound all right.
Uh,
You don't look all
uh,
right.
I don't feel great.
Oh no. Is that a cup of soup you've got there? A
I
bowl
wish,
of soup.
actually. I'm hungry.
Oh.
No, just coffee. Coffee,
Oh.
coffee, coffee.
What's wrong?
Oh, I just got a cold.
Oh, all right then.
Yeah.
I won't be too. I'm not very sympathetic, and I apologise for that. You
I
fucking
don't
get
I
over it.
don't need it. I don't need it.
Behave yourself. It's
Yeah.
only a cold.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I know you do get poorly, so.
Yeah, no, it's just coming from winter going to summer cold.
Oh, the change in temperature. It's a very British thing, isn't
It
it?
is, yeah. We
We
get
just
summer
can't.
colds.
We just can't handle it.
Sorry about that.
It's so funny. I was saying to Josie yesterday, I don't really get poorly.
Yeah.
I don't get a cold. I don't get a cough. I just don't really get poorly.
Are you gonna get poorly now?
Oh,
Shouldn't have said
no.
it.
No. Well, the thing is, if I'm going to do something, I'll do it properly.
That's true.
So I went the whole hog, didn't I? And got cancer instead.
Yeah. You were like, I don't get sick.
No.
Boom.
Cold? No, thank you. Give me something stronger.
Give me something better as a challenge. Thank you.
Goodness me. Yeah.
Oh, but on that note, what a glorious set of weather we're having.
What a glorious set of weather we have.
Lovely set of weather. We'll have
Yeah.
that.
Still though, bit of a nippy wind in it.
Yeah.
A bit of a nippy wind.
Little bit chilly.
Still need a
Yeah.
bit of a jacket on, didn't you? A bit of a cardi.
Yeah.
But
That's why
it
when
has been.
you see Brits, we're always pressed up against buildings so that we can feel the sun, but we can't feel the wind.
Absolutely. I've been walking the dog up the side bit, and it's like it's not enclosed, it's a big open field because it's Norfolk, but there are trees that line one half of it. And you walk up there, and I take my jacket off. I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. This is glorious. Feel the sun on my
Glorious.
skin. And then I get past the trees. I'm like, fuck me. It's cold.
Where's all my jumpers?
Gosh, put my jacket back on. So we've just been walking up and down the tree line, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it works, it works.
It does work. It does indeed. So we, to begin with, have got some shout outs.
Shout outs.
And this made me so incredibly happy, this one shout out. And I'm just going to find it. Oh, there it is. Hold on. Everybody, hold on.
Yeah.
And this came from Cam.
Hey,
And
Cam.
Cam bought us two coffees, and they
Oh,
left us
thanks.
a little comment, and it says, found the podcast last week and me and my girlfriend love it. It's like finding a long lost cozy cardigan.
Oh, and who doesn't love that?
Honestly, that was the best thing I've ever heard.
So lully.
I mean, by the time they catch up, though, this is going to be old news. Like that, I think they're still right at the beginning, so they've got a long while before they get to this shout out. But we appreciate it nonetheless.
We do. We do appreciate
Yeah.
it. And we appreciate you, Cam, and said girlfriend.
Yes.
Thank you, Cam and
Thank you
Cam
ever so
girlfriend.
much.
I've got my coffee that Cam bought me right here.
Oh, I have got actually space goods because I ran out of
Oh,
my mushroom coffee menopause brain stuff.
oh
And
yeah.
I found this space goods sachet in the cupboard, and I was like, that
Sachet.
sachet.
Sachet. What is it?
That'll
The
do.
chocolate one?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, chocolate mushroom one.
Nice.
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 Um, and you know what else I've got?
What?
A random blam. Go. Me and Josie were talking yesterday, and it was about, I don't know, anywhere between 8 and 9 o'clock. I can't remember. It was early. It was too early for this conversation. And
Mhm.
it started off about like Henry VIII and different historical facts. And we was like, if the children came downstairs and started learning about how many women Henry VIII had beheaded, we'd be like, oh my, do not watch that. That's,
Mm.
you shouldn't be watching that at your age. But they go to school and learn it. And then that led us on to the Egyptians and things that we were talking about before. And
Mm.
me and Josie were so clueless about everything because about AD, BC, all this sort of timeline, and we was like, where did it start? Where is the timeline? Because BC goes backwards, doesn't it? And then it goes AC, although they've changed it now. It's BCE. Yeah, I know. I've no idea. And so we was like, what was happening in the world? Because when you think of the Romans, you think of like almost like the dinosaurs, where the dinosaurs roamed, and that was it. Yeah. And then you think of the Egyptians, and you think there was the Egyptian era, and that was just all Egyptians everywhere. And the same with the Romans. So we was like, what was happening in England when the Egyptians were roaming?
Yeah.
So that's my random blam. So just wait for it.
All right.
So this kind of goes in with the episode that we did as well. But while the Egyptians were roaming, while they were constructing their epic pyramids and potentially whatever was down below, while they had all this advanced technology that we could only dream of, England was inhabited by hunter-gatherer and early farming communities with the development of early megalithic structures like Stonehenge. So while the pyramids were being constructed to a exact point, we've chucked some stones in a field and called it a monument.
That's weird, actually, that you should say that, because my random blam was that it has been scientifically proven that Stonehenge is older than the pyramids.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It's not that much older.
Not that much older.
Not even a little
couple
bit.
Of days.
Yeah. Let me tell you, it says between 2589 and 2566 BC.
Oh, okay.
So less 23 years.
We were quickly trying to get ours up first.
Just get them stones in the field. Quick.
Do a selfie.
The Egyptians are on the move.
We done it first. And then we saw the pyramids and we were like, oh.
They've always got a one-up us, haven't they?
Oh, God, they're so much better than ours. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I've got, as you were doing that, I thought, oh, that was my random blam, was that Stonehenge was older than the pyramids. But
how
also,
strange.
I know. Also, on that note, there's another one. When me, Claire, and the kids went to Cambridge, and we went to some museums in Cambridge, we went to like Natural History Museum, National History Museum. What is it? Natural History Museum in Cambridge, and they had the skeleton of a giant sloth. And I've got to tell you, it blew my mind that there was actually creatures that big. They're enormous.
And like dinosaur size?
Yeah, like huge. Probably, I don't know, if it had stood up like on its back legs, it would have been like 20 foot. Like, it was massive. And it properly blew my mind. And they said that the giant sloth inhabited that area. So there would be like big grassy fields and that, and they would all like roam on this, like around in Cambridge. And I was like, that is incredible. And I always get that urge that I think, oh, I wish I could like just stand in this spot and go back all those years. Yeah, and see them all like loping around on this grass. But yeah, absolutely blew my mind. Giant sloth. I was like, I never even knew that they existed.
Yeah.
No idea. They're huge.
I didn't know they were that big.
I'll put some pictures up.
All right, love that.
Yeah. All right.
Random lambs then.
Done. All right. Any other business?
No other business.
All right. Well, let's episode then.
Shall we episode?
Let's episode. Morning.
Morning.
Morning, morning.
Morning, morning. Do you know what I think, right? When we say that, you know, when you listen to some podcasts and they've always got, hi, I'm Elena. Hi, I'm Kate.
Mm.
whatever the names are. And
Mm.
I always think, do they say that every episode, or is that a pre-recorded edit that just goes in?
Oh yeah.
But our mornings are genuinely, we say that every time, don't we?
Oh yeah.
They're not pre-recorded or anything. Like we mean them with our heart.
We mean every single morning,
Yeah. Good morning.
even when it's evening. We
Yeah,
mean
even
morning.
when we don't know what time it is, every time is morning.
Yeah. We've tried
Yeah.
mixing it up every now and again.
Evening,
Evening.
afternoon. It's
I
not the
know.
same, is
It's
it?
not the same. No, it's always morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can't say
morning.
afternoon.
Afternoon.
Not the
No,
same.
no, it's always
No.
morning.
Right. So
Mm.
we have got a campfire stories today.
Well, Sarah's got.
I'm throwing it at you
Yeah.
because every now and then we like to throw out a campfire story because let's face it, sometimes podcasting is hard.
It is. Yeah.
Sometimes the episodes take us too long to write and we cannot physically release it every week. So
No.
sometimes we have to throw in a campfire stories, and we know you all love them anyways, so you're welcome.
Yeah. And
Um
the thing is, it's the time of year for it because only the other night I was sitting round the fire pit with my friends and they were talking about the pod
oh well.
and saying how much they love the pod. And I thought, well, do you know what? Why not? Why the hell not?
Oh, excuse me, bless me.
You're,
I'm
you're,
getting poorly already.
you're allergic to compliments.
It's karma for me saying I don't get ill.
Yeah,
That's
I've
me.
passed me cold down the microphone wire.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Sorry about that.
So, and obviously, I love reading a story. So when every night when Isaac goes to bed, Josie reads him a story, and she's reading Harry Potter at the moment. But obviously, I've taken over because Harry Potter is my forte, and yes, he might be her child, but Harry Potter is mine. Harry
Yeah.
Potter is my baby. So I
Do you
like, and
do you do voices and that?
I
Or-
try to, but apparently not. I try to do different voices, but my Hagrid sounds like Hermione. I don't know.
Can we hear? Can we hear a
All
sample?
right. No, Ron, you can't go that way.
Nice.
Yeah, Ron, you're bloody right. You can't go that way.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, right?
Pretty good. Which was which?
No.
That was good.
Thank you. So I do really like reading stories. And I like reading the Reddit ones, and somebody has commented before on my acting skills. So
Commenting in a good way or
yeah, they said that I read them really well.
nice.
All right, whatever, let's go.
All right. Are you going to do voices for the different stories?
Nah.
I mean, you can. We'd enjoy it immensely.
I'll try. I'll see what I'll just
have
see
a,
what
have a
comes
think
out.
about it. Yeah,
Oh.
just go with the flow.
I'm just gonna see what comes out naturally, to be honest.
All right.
Let's go.
All right.
So these are Reddit stories, and this first one is from these all came from I don't understand Reddit, but from a subreddit called No Sleep,
Okay.
which are scary stories.
Scary.
And this one came from this_chemical13, and it says, "My son keeps drawing a man we've never met. I think he's real." My son Alex has always loved drawing. Crayons, markers, whatever he could get his little hands on. At first, it was the usual stuff. Dogs, stick figure family portraits, the occasional scribble that only he understood. But last month, his drawings changed. It started with a man, a tall figure with no hair, hollow eyes, and a stretched, wide smile. The first time he showed it to me, I felt uneasy. "Who's this, buddy?" I asked, keeping my tone light. Alex grinned. "That's Mr. Threads." The name made my stomach twist. "Where did you hear that name?" "He told me," Alex said simply, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. "He stands in my doorway at night." I almost dropped the paper. At first, I chalked it up to child's imagination. Kids invent imaginary friends all the time, right? But the drawings didn't stop. They got worse. Every day, Alex brought me a new picture of Mr. Threads. The same elongated smile, the same hollow eyes, and every time Mr. Threads got closer. One drawing showed him at the end of the hallway, another in the living room, then standing behind me. The night I found a picture of Mr. Threads standing next to Alex's bed, I didn't sleep. Last night I heard something. It was past midnight, and I was getting a glass of water when I heard Alex talking in his room. Soft, hushed whispers. I pressed my ear to the door. But you don't have to be mad, Alex was saying. I told her about you. She believes me now. A long silence. Then, in the quietest voice I'd ever heard my son use, "Okay, I'll tell her." I burst through the door. Alex was sitting up in bed, staring at the open closet. "Who are you talking to?" I demanded. He blinked, like I'd just woken him up. "Mr. Threads says you should sleep with the door open tonight." My stomach dropped. "Why?" Alex's lower lip trembled. "So he can come in?" I slept with the door locked. This morning, Alex wouldn't look at me. He just kept scribbling furiously, his crayon scratching against the paper. When I finally coaxed it out of his hands, my breath caught in my throat. It was me, sleeping, and behind me, looming over the bed, Mr. Threads. I grabbed my son's shoulders. "Alex, tell me the truth. Have you actually seen him?" He didn't speak, just gave a tiny, reluctant nod. His little hands gripped the fabric of his pyjama pants and he bit his lower lip. I tried to steady my breath. "When?" "Every night," he whispered. I thought I might be sick. "What does he do?" Alex hesitated, then pressed his hand over his eyes. "He watches, but he doesn't have eyes, so sometimes he borrows them."
Oh.
A sharp chill ran down my spine. "What do you mean, borrows them?" Alex shuddered. "Sometimes I wake up and everything is blurry and my eyes hurt." His voice wavered. "That's when I know he's using them." My hands started shaking. I ran to the bathroom, flipping the light switch and studying my son's face. His pupils were dilated, like he'd been staring into pure darkness for hours. I turned his head gently to the side, checking under his eyes, dark circles so deep they looked bruised. "We're leaving," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. That night, I kept every light on in the house. I let Alex sleep in my bed, keeping him tucked close to me, his small fingers gripping my sleeve like he was afraid I'd disappear if he let go. I didn't blame him. I felt the same way. Sleep didn't come easy. Every shadow in the room felt like it was stretching towards us, reaching. I kept reminding myself that it was just in my head, just my own paranoia turning shapes into monsters. Then, at 3:07 a.m., Alex gasped awake. I bolted upright. "What is it?" He trembled violently, clutching at his face. "Mum, my eyes! I can't see!" I grabbed his shoulders. It's okay, I'm here, you're safe." But even as I said it, I saw the shift in the room. The light flickered, just once, then again, and the temperature dropped. I turned slowly toward the bedroom door. It was open. A long shadow stretched across the floor. Alex sobbed into my chest, his tiny fingers curling into fists. "He's here," he whimpered. I didn't look. I couldn't. Instead, I pulled Alex into my arms, stood up, and backed toward the farthest corner of the room. My heart slammed against my ribs, every instinct screaming at me to run, but I didn't know where to go. Then the whisper came. "You see me now?" I snapped my eyes shut. It was right there. I could feel it. A presence looming over us, stretching, growing, filling the room with something cold and unnatural. My breath came in shallow, rapid gasps. I felt something graze my cheek. I ran. I don't remember getting to the car. I barely remember buckling Alex in, my hands fumbling as I tried to still my shaking fingers. All I remember is driving, tearing down the street at 3:15 in the morning, refusing to look in the rearview mirror. Alex sobbed quietly in the back seat. "He knows where we're going." I didn't respond. I just kept driving. That was 3 days ago. We're at my sister's house now, staying in her quiet guest room. Alex hasn't drawn anything since we left. He still wakes up in the middle of the night, though, gasping, clutching at his face, shaking uncontrollably. I don't know what to do. I don't know if running was enough, because last night I woke up to Alex standing by the window, his hands pressed to the glass. He's outside, he whispered. He wants to come in. And this morning, I found a drawing crumpled under his pillow, a sketch of my sister's house, with Mr. Threads standing at the front door.
Jesus Christ.
One of the comments on that thread had me dying. It just said, I'm sorry, but that child needs to go in the bin.
Yeah.
I've never read anything truer. Get that kid straight in the bin.
Yeah. Throw it away, start again.
I know.
Bloody hell.
No, thank you.
That's just the worst, though, isn't it? Like telling your kid that, there's no such thing as monsters, that doesn't exist, settle down, go to sleep. And then you have that realization that actually I can feel something too.
Yeah.
Hideous.
I know.
Burn the house to the ground, throw the child away.
Just start again. Don't look back.
Blimey.
So this next one comes from Daily Donuts 16.
Donut.
And it says, I will never help a random stranger out in the street, no matter how convincing they are.
Nice.
This happened to me back in 2007. I was 9 years old and my brother was 14. My mum had sent us out the house with about $30 to go to a movie and maybe get a bite to eat afterwards. After watching the movie, it was getting pretty dark and I was ready to go home. But my brother wanted to get something to eat first, and we agreed to walk to McDonald's, which was only a couple of blocks from the movie theatre. On our way there, we were stopped and approached by a man. He had a friendly smile plastered on his face, and he was holding his child's hand. There didn't seem to be anything off about this man. He was average looking, and seemed to be nothing more than a father having a day out with his son. Hey, do you two think you could give my son and I a hand real quick? He asked. We need help loading a mattress onto the back of our truck. The truck's just up the road. Sorry, but we don't really have time, my brother said. It was at this time I noticed the little boy. He was about 8 years old, and he looked abnormally thin. He had a blank expression on his face and wore clothes that were much too big for him. I turned my attention back to the man, who was now mumbling to my brother about how it would only take a second. My brother kindly declined again. Being the helpful kid that I was, I joined in with the man and tried to persuade my brother that we should help out. I turned to my brother, who was now staring down at the little boy. My brother had a disturbed expression on his face as he looked down at the child. The child stared back at my brother blankly. I didn't understand why my brother had that look on his face. He grabbed my hand and said, I think that's my mum over there. He pulled me and we began walking away from the man. I didn't understand what was going on and why my brother had just lied about our mum being there. He didn't let go of my hand and practically dragged me until we were a far distance away from the man and his son. I looked back and could still see the man holding his son's hand. Only now, he wasn't smiling anymore. He had a look of fury on his face, and he yanked the little boy by the arm and they walked away. I pulled away from my brother's grasp and bombarded him with questions. He shushed me and pulled his cell phone out of his pocket. He dialed in a number and began pacing around nervously while talking on the phone. I remember the police showing up, and my mum came soon after. She took me home, but my brother was left with the police. I asked my mother what was going on, and she said that the police were just questioning my brother because the man we had encountered was dangerous. That's all she told me, and I went to bed. By the next morning, I had almost completely forgotten about the incident and things went back to normal. It wasn't until a few days ago that these memories flooded back into my mind. I decided to call my now 22-year-old brother to get some answers. When I brought the ordeal back up to him, he finally gave me the information I wanted to know, and now that I know everything, I understand how fucking terrifying our encounter with the man truly was. My brother told me that while the man was constantly trying to convince us to come with him, he happened to look at the little boy. The little boy then looked at my brother with his eyes filled with terror and mouthed the words, "I'm not his son. Please help me." Then his expression went back to being completely blank, almost as if he'd never said anything at all. This was why I'd become so freaked out and snatched me away. When he called the police, they hurried down and he described the man as best he could. They couldn't do much with the little information my brother had given, because he hadn't even seen the car that the man supposedly had. My brother told me that a few weeks into the investigation, they'd found the little boy who was with the man, dead. His body had been cruelly dumped in the woods. The cause of death was malnutrition and dehydration.
Oh.
If my brother and I had gone with the sicko, we likely would have met the same fate. He obviously couldn't have kidnapped both of us on his own, as my brother was a fairly strong fellow. That meant he had other paedophile partners who would help him snatch up unsuspecting kids. Unfortunately, they were never able to catch any of the sick fucks who did this to the child, but the man was definitely not his father. His real parents had already been searching for their missing son for almost a month. The paedophiles had managed to kidnap the poor kid and used him as their puppet to try and kidnap other children. Every time I think about the boy, I feel a deep pity for him. He was only a year younger than I was at the time, and I can only imagine how terrible it must have been to slowly starve to death.
Oh God, that's hideous.
Yeah, that's not a very nice one, was it?
No, that's
But
awful.
I always think about, me and Hallie was at the beach the other day, and off out into the distance there was something floating, something like red floating, and we couldn't see what it was. And I
Yeah.
turned to Haley and I said, because she was like, "Oh, look at that thing over there." And then we just carried on eating our chips and whatever else. And I said to her, imagine if that is a life raft that he's
Yeah.
carried a man 73 days at sea, and he's leathery skin from the sun, and he's all dried out from the sea salt, and he's starving and he's clutching on to life. And we're just sat there going, "Oh, look at that thing over there."
Yeah.
Like, you just never know, do you?
No.
And like the case with some of the, like I think it's JC Lee Dugard, where no, not JC Lee, I can't remember, but another case like that, and they have children, and they take the children out with the abuser. And you think, you just never know, do you? You can witness those things and just be completely oblivious.
Have no idea.
You've
Yeah.
got no idea. And like with the Gary Heidnick, where Josephina was sat in the car with him, and everyone's going, "Oh, look at that car. I'm so jealous. I wish I was in that car." When they've got no idea of the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
And
so eye-opening.
she's sitting there so close to death.
Yeah. And also so close to freedom.
Yeah. No one knows what a life-changing moment that is for her.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just so eye-opening that you don't know who you encounter or what what the story is behind that.
Yeah. No, it's mad, isn't it? And I always think things like that. Like I always say to Claire, when you see about, you hear these stories of children being held hostage in, someone's house, some paedophile's house, some murderer's house, and they're looking out the window and they can see people walking past, but yet all the terror is inside that house, and I think if only they could shout out at that exact moment and you could run over and like kick the door down and rescue them, and like if only that could happen.
Yeah because you think, I've walked past that house 7 times, and you just don't know what's happening inside until it comes out, and you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then it's like, if only I'd known.
Yeah.
I'd have kicked the door down and got those kids out there. And
yeah it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's scary.
Very eye-opening. So the next one is by Kenny C5576, and it is entitled, "What Was She Planning to Do to Me?" One time I went to the bar with one of my friends. I just turned 21, so I haven't been to bars much up until that point. My friend was drinking on the way to the bar, so he was already pretty drunk when we got there. When I sat at the bar, a cute girl came and talked to me and my friend. She said her name was Candice, and I noticed she had really bright red hair. I assumed she'd dyed it. It was pretty, but unnatural. This girl was flirting with me and my friend. She could tell my friend was already very drunk. To be honest, I played along like I was drunk already too, since it seemed to be working for my friend. I didn't know if she was just trying to get free drinks, so I told her we didn't have much money. She offered to buy us drinks. She kept buying us drinks, and I started to get confused as to who she liked between me and my friend. My friend went to the bathroom, and before he came back, he was kicked out by the bouncers. He was too drunk. Candice and I went outside with him. She kept telling him to go home with her. He was so out of it, he could barely answer her. I told her he was too drunk and that I couldn't let him go anywhere. I didn't want him to wake up hungover in some random house with no car and no idea what happened. Candice kept pushing it, saying that she would take care of him, but I told her no, because I had to stay with him. I was more sober than him, and he was my responsibility. I told her the only way he was going anywhere was if I tagged along. I assumed she thought that I was jealous or cock blocking, but my friend could barely stand and lost interest in Candice already at that point. She immediately started flirting with me and offered to get my friend a taxi to drive him home and said we could go to her place alone. At this point, I had a few drinks and I was pretty buzzed, so I agreed. We took my friend to the taxi and walked to her car. I slightly stumbled on the way to her car. "Wow, you're pretty drunk, huh?" she said, smiling as she held onto my arm. "Yeah," I said. I don't know why, but I just felt slightly shy and anxious. Everything was just happening too easy for me, so it felt uneasy. We got in a car. We drove down the street. "Want to stop at the liquor store and get some more drink? I'll buy it so you don't have to worry about paying," she said. I didn't want to drink any more than I already did. I was already buzzed and wanted to be able to carry myself throughout the rest of the night. Sometimes I made myself look stupid when I'm drunk, so I didn't want to ruin anything with Candice more than I already did earlier with telling her my friend was too drunk. I told her I was already drunk enough, but she insisted. I didn't want to seem lame, so I told her to get me a pint of liquor with some apple juice to chase it. She went into the store and came out with a lot more than just a pint. I assumed she wanted to drink more also, and that's why she got a fifth instead of a pint. On the car ride, we passed the bottle back and forth, but she took tiny sips. I tried to take tiny sips, but she kept passing me the bottle and telling me to drink. I somehow managed to drink all of my apple juice and pretend to drink the bottle by spitting the liquor in the apple juice bottle. I tossed the apple juice bottle full of liquor out of the window before she saw it. I didn't want her to know I was acting drunker than I was actually, and she believed I was sloppy drunk when I was simply buzzed. I took a couple more sips of liquor and finished the bottle. Throughout the car ride, I called her the wrong name a couple of times to get a reaction out of her. She didn't react to it. She just kept letting me call her Carla without correcting me. For some reason, I thought she'd lied to me about her name initially. We drove up to a house. I pretended to trip and stumble into her front door. She helped me walk inside by holding me up. She opened her front door, which was unlocked. We walked into her house. She closed her front door and then locked it. I thought that was strange, but assumed she didn't want anyone walking in on us. I told her that I had to use the bathroom. I walked into her bathroom, locked the door and looked in the mirror. I just felt strange. I felt like something was off. I felt myself becoming more drunk from finishing the bottle earlier. I turned on the sink to make noise and made myself puke up the liquor I drank. I flushed and went to the sink and started drinking the tap water out of my hands to sober up. I just didn't want to be drunk, but I still wanted to hook up with Candice, so I wanted to pretend to be drunk. I turned the sink off and I could hear her talking to someone. "He's drunk as hell. He can barely stand up. You do it." Who was she talking to? And do what? I walked out of the bathroom and into the living room. The moment I stepped into the living room, I saw her walking into another room. All I could see was the back of her head. That very strange, bright red hair go into another room. I didn't see her face or anything. I just saw her kind of walk fast into the room. The living room was pretty dark. "Hey, where you going?" I slurred like I was drunk. She walked back into the dark living room and up to me. "Let's go in my room. she said. I looked at her bright red hair and then into her eyes. They were different. Her face was different. It was another girl with the same hair. And that's when I realised it was another girl with the same wig on. It was a wig the whole time. She had changed it with the girl from earlier for whatever reason. My heart felt like it stopped, but I tried to look like I had no idea it was a different girl. I kind of smiled at her and told her I just needed to use the bathroom one more time and told her sorry I was so drunk. She said, "It's fine, just hurry up in there." I went into the bathroom and locked the door. I heard her whisper something to someone again this time. I think I heard a male voice whisper back. I honestly didn't concentrate on listening to exactly what she said. Something sketchy was going on and I had to get out of that house. I opened the bathroom window and jumped straight out of it and ran faster than I'd ever ran in my life. I didn't look behind me. I just ran through the backyard, jumped the fence, ran through someone else's backyard, hit a road and ran toward the main road. I kept running down the main road until I saw a 24-hour convenience store. I ran into the store and stood straight at the front of the store in front of the camera. I called a taxi and went home. I tried to think what happened that night. What was she, or they, planning that night? Why did she tell me a fake name? Why was she trying to get my friend and I so drunk? I thought maybe a robbery, but she kept spending money on us. She kept buying us drinks and even paid for my friend's taxi cab. And mostly, why did she wear a wig that she gave to another girl to wear? Who was she talking to? What did it mean? And what was that in my room they tried to lure me into? The next day after this incident, I went back to the house with a couple of friends to just see what was going on. Nobody was there. No cars, no people, nothing. Just an empty house. I ended up finding out that the house was a summer rental, and whoever these people were, they broke into that house and used it for only that night and never came back.
The hell are they going to do?
Dunno. I've got an idea, but I don't want to say it because it leads on to my story that I'm doing next.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, that's terrifying, isn't it? And thank God that he wasn't
that
more
drunk.
drunk. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not men luring women. That was women luring men.
Yeah.
Everybody got to be careful. Everybody got to
Everyone.
have their wits about them.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Goodness.
Now, this is the last one, and it is by dangerous_party_7554. And it is titled, I dodged being murdered by my psychotic roommate just by a hair. I've worked in mental health care for the last 18 years, mainly with people with psychotic illnesses like schizophrenia. I was working at a group home for 9 years and were very close with my co-workers there, especially 2 females. The last few years I worked there, another female started working there. Let's call her M. And the 4 of us grew very close. She was very timid, shy, friendly, and we got along well. She was, however, often on long-term sick leave because of her own mental health issues, so we didn't meet much at work. But she always showed up at our after-work dinners so we can continue to stay in touch, even when she wasn't well enough to work full-time. She told us that she had a history of schizophrenia herself, just like the patients we were treating, but that she was medicated and hadn't had any psychotic episodes for years. Since I have an education in psychiatry and a long experience with schizophrenia, I have no judgment towards people suffering from the illness, and it didn't bother me being friends with someone who had a diagnosis like that. In the summer of 2023, I'd moved on to work at a new place, also within mental health, but this time forensic psychiatry, like a halfway house for mentally ill murderers. The 4 of us stayed in touch and still met every now and then for dinner parties. M told me that she'd been evicted from her apartment because of an incident where she'd accidentally entered her neighbour's apartment in the middle of the night. She told us that in the huge apartment complex, the doors all looked exactly the same, and that she'd simply walked in the wrong door by accident, and that the neighbours had created a scene out of pure drama and reported her to the police. I somehow felt that while that sounded out of proportion to evict someone just for that, perhaps the landlord took that kind of action because he judged her based on her medical history, and I felt bad for her. I questioned her if something else happened, and she claimed that it didn't, and that this was the full story. In Sweden, it's very difficult to get a contract for an apartment when you've gotten evicted. You pretty much get blacklisted. Em asked me if she could move in with me, since she was literally on the street, literally homeless, and I said, of course you can. I've always gotten myself into uncomfortable situations by saying yes instead of thinking about myself, and I had no idea how severe this situation would get when I said yes to Em. I live in a pretty small apartment. It's 1 bedroom that pretty much only fits a bed and a desk, a living room that fits a couch and a TV, a small kitchen and a small bathroom, and I have 2 cats. We decided that Em was going to live in the living room, and I offered her to throw my couch out so that she could have a bed there, but she said that she was fine with sleeping on the couch since it's comfortable enough. I insisted on giving her a bed, but she declined. There's a door between the living room and the bedroom, but between the living room and the hallway, there's just an open arch, so she wouldn't have total privacy. I hung up a thick velvet curtain covering the arch that at least gave her the sense of a door and more privacy than anything. There's another door from my bedroom to the kitchen, so I have 2 doors in my bedroom. I have to have one of them open at night since my cats want to go in and out, and they also have their litter boxes in the bathroom and food and water in the kitchen. I naturally kept the kitchen door open and not the living room door, since that's where Em lived and we wanted to keep our privacy somehow. She wasn't working at this time because she was on one of her long-term sick leaves, while I was working shifts, so sometimes I had to get up at 6 a.m. and sometimes I didn't get home till like 11 p.m. I have really severe insomnia and need to combine zolpidem and Lurgigan, some sort of medication. And even with this, I still wake up easily. I told her that I would appreciate if she could try to stay quiet those nights when I have to get up at 6 a.m, but that it's fine if she's loud when I'm off work or when I do the evening shifts. She was a heavy smoker and a coffee drinker, so I bought her a coffee machine to make her enjoy her living situation more. The coffee machine and the sink is placed right outside my bedroom door. The kitchen is very small. So the first night together, I had to get up for my 6 a.m. shift. As usual, I had a hard time falling asleep. Em had been up several times that night to go out to smoke, and I woke up every time. At 5 a.m, she started making coffee, and since it's literally outside my bedroom door, I was wide awake from the sound of it. I asked her in the nicest way possible why she was up this early, asking if she had any plans today. I mean, she's on sick leave. Why not sleep at 5 a.m. if you can? And she just said that she couldn't sleep. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I would just appreciate if you could wait with making the coffee till 6 a.m. since I really need this last hour of sleep because of work. Adding to why I need my sleep is that I have epilepsy that gets really bad when I don't get enough sleep. I usually get a lot of seizures when I don't get at least 4 hours sleep. I knew that I would probably get seizures at work now, meaning that this day would be both stressful and potentially dangerous for me since there's a huge risk that I fall and hurt myself. I know that it's not an ideal situation to work in that field with my condition, and I can inform you all that I did quit after only 6 months. She said that she really wanted coffee with her cigarettes, but that she would try to wait the next time I have to go to work. I accepted it and went on with my day, but things didn't get better. She continued to wake me up early in the morning and through the nights and continued to promise to stop, but insisted that she really wanted coffee with her cigarettes. I suggested making the coffee the night before, or drinking iced coffee or Coke instead, but she didn't want that. I may add that she demanded for me to be silent at 10 p.m. because that's when she wanted to sleep, and I respected that. She used to get these moments of binge eating where she would empty my fridge and pantry from everything that I had. I remember this one time when I'd bought a big loaf of bread and she texted me 30 minutes after I left the apartment saying, "Hey, sorry I ate your loaf of bread. I'll buy it back once I get money." Like an entire loaf of bread in 30 minutes.
Jesus.
Was
she, a Labrador?
I told her when she moved in to feel at home and what's mine is yours, so I couldn't really get mad. But it started to annoy me for 2 reasons. It was getting kind of expensive since it was such huge amounts, and it was always in inconvenient times of the day. like after an evening shift when the store was closed and I came home hungry and she'd emptied the kitchen from everything I'd bought the same day. Em had long black hair that was everywhere, all over the sink, the floor, the bathtub. I'm no clean freak, but I think anyone could understand that this isn't the nicest thing to step in or see everywhere in your house. She also left her fingernails and toenails on the bathroom floor.
Oh.
It was also pee drops on the toilet seat every time she'd been to the toilet. I saw a silver fish on my bathroom floor. Never seen one before. And they eat hair and skin and nails. So I figured this fella probably enjoyed life because of the now dirty condition my bathroom was in. At first, I didn't want to say it straight out because I thought it would hurt her feelings and I didn't want to make her uncomfortable. So I just put a broom and a shovel in the bathroom to imply that we needed to sweep the floor more often. This didn't seem to work. So after a while, I told her in the nicest way possible with a smile on my face, do you think we could try and clean the bathroom floor more often? We tend to lose some hair when we brush it and I'm afraid we may get pests. I saw a silverfish the other day and I don't want it to get worse. I always made sure to say we instead of you so that she wouldn't feel attacked. She promised to think about it, but nothing changed. I started dating a guy and was head over heels for him. He was always in a roommate situation, so we had a tough time getting any alone time. I asked Em if there's any chance that we could get one night to ourselves every now and then in the apartment, and that she, of course, would get the apartment to herself as well. She didn't like the idea and claimed that she had nowhere to go, no friends or family. Now, I wasn't asking her to leave for 24 hours, just a few hours so that we could just get some quality time together. She could just go to the library or take a walk or whatever. I was at work for 8 to 10 hours, 5 days a week, so she got a lot to herself. One of her old co-workers realised that this was really tearing at my mood, to never get any time to myself, and I started feeling really suffocated. She offered that Em could stay the night at her place. After all, they were friends too. Em said she didn't want to bother her, but we told her that she didn't and they're friends. She was more than welcome, and I really just wanted one night to myself and my guy. I didn't understand why she made such a big deal over leaving me in the apartment for just one night. She eventually accepted and spent the night there, and I spent the night away the next week so that she could get some more alone time too. When I came home the next morning from my night away, I saw that my cat's water bowl was completely dried out. There was no spill on the floor, and it looked like it had been wiped out with a towel or paper. It had been filled to the brim just the night before. I asked her how this was possible, and she said that the cats must have tipped it out, but there was nothing on the floor, like I said. My cats are overly social and usually cuddle up with strangers after just a few minutes. I noticed that the cats withdrew from her more and more over time, and the last couple of weeks they never left my bedroom except when they ate or used the litter box. It seemed like they were scared of her, which I couldn't figure out since she was so timid. I had this old saucepan from the 60s that meant a lot to me. You probably wonder how a saucepan can mean a lot to someone, but it was my grandmother's, and it's the only thing I have that belongs to her. My mother used to cook for me with it when I was little, so it had great nostalgic value to me. She burnt it one day and made no attempt to clean it. She just left it on the stove and went out to smoke. I found it ruined and cried. She didn't even say sorry. She also broke dishes several times and didn't bother to replace them or apologise. This added to my frustration with her naturally. It had been probably gone 2 months now, and she kept waking me up at night, kept binge eating my food, never cleaned, never left the house, scared my cats and ruined my things. I realised she stole my prescriptive sleeping pills, lots of them as well, and I only get one per night, not more or less. And as you already know, I really need them. I had 20 of them in the nightstand when I left for work, and when I came home, they were gone. She denied, which is pretty hilarious since no one else could have been there. My frustration was getting heavy. The summer heat was strong, and I felt locked up in my tiny bedroom with my 2 cats, never getting any time to myself. Never any alone time with the guy I was dating except for once every 14th day. My apartment was messy, and she was stealing from me. Out of nowhere, my old elementary school classmate texted me on Facebook asking me how I know Em. He had seen that I'd posted on Facebook that we were roommates now. I told him that we were old co-workers and that she needed a place to stay because she'd gotten evicted. He said, I know. Do you know why she was evicted? Yeah, she accidentally went into her neighbour's apartment. He said, that's not the full story. She broke in and snuck up to their sleeping baby with a knife in her hand. And
Oh
luckily, the
God.
father woke up and wrestled her down and managed to save the baby. I felt sick to my stomach. Could this be true? It would certainly explain why she was evicted, but it just sounded so horrible, and she's such a timid, nice girl. I had so many questions. But my friend had the full police report. Apparently, the couple that Em had broken into was his ex-girlfriend and her family. It seemed that Em had a psychosis during the break-in, but those parts weren't public. It was, however, clear to me that she had been lying to me about what had happened and about how long she had been mentally unstable. I started getting quite paranoid now, and I was already frustrated with everything and really wanted her to move out. We did, however, have a contract that she had 30 days' notice. I knew that if I asked her in a harsh way, it would mean 30 days of chaos until she moved out, so I wanted to handle this as nicely as I could. I started looking for cheap hostels for her that I could suggest to her so she wouldn't be on the streets. I sat down with her and told her that I loved living with her and I felt really horrible for this, but I just missed my alone time and that the apartment is too small for 2 people. I said it wasn't personal and that I wouldn't want to live with anyone right now and that I wished it would have worked out and that I'm really sorry and hope we will remain friends. She looked crushed and said that it wasn't possible. I showed her the hostel I found and said that I understood that it wasn't the ultimate situation, but I really needed her to move out because I felt suffocated. And also the summer heat was making it tough to always have the door to the bedroom closed. And it was tough for me to not get my sleep. She said, okay, she was going to try and move out, but not until 30 days had passed. And I said, of course. The first night after our talk, she got up and made her coffee at 2:30 a.m. I nearly had a mental breakdown. I was going to get up at 6 and couldn't get back to sleep. I asked her in the morning for probably the 10th time to not make coffee until I got up, but she didn't even answer me. She just sat on the sofa and stared out the window. I said, Em? And she kept staring. I was freaked out, but I left for work. She kept being weird, kept making a mess, kept waking me up, kept eating my food, and all I could think about was the incident with her and the baby and the knife. I eventually got so pissed off about being woken up by the coffee maker, so I unplugged it and stored it in my attic, which she had no access to. It may be childish, but I was getting so tired at this moment. My sleeping pills were stolen, and I was starting to feel like Edward Norton in the beginning of Fight Club. Well, the next night, I woke up at 4 a.m. by her making coffee in a saucepan. I tried talking to her again, explained the situation, but she just stared and didn't reply. Me being frustrated and on the tipping point, took the saucepan and stored it in the attic as well. I know, but I was going crazy and I just wanted to stop her with these nightly coffee routines and get the hint. The third night, I had the guy I was dating sleeping at our place because I was getting really paranoid now over her weird behaviour. I woke up from my very little snooze by him poking me. He whispered, "Look." In the doorway, Em was just standing silently staring at us. This was like a scene from a horror movie with her long black hair over her face. I kid you not. I didn't say anything at first because I wanted to know if she just stood there for a second doing something by the door. But I realised after a while that she was actually just standing still, staring at us. It reminded me of the ending of Paranormal Activity when Katie just stares at Micah in the final scene. So I sat up and said, "What are you doing?" But before I could finish the sentence, she just slammed the door shut, and I heard the sound of something metal falling on the floor and her running into the living room. I yelled out, "You need to leave!" and started crying hysterically because this was turning into a nightmare. Of course, I didn't go back to sleep, and I was really happy that I had company that night. I just kept asking myself, has she done this before? Stared at me in my sleep? The next day when I got out of bed, I opened the door that she had slammed shut and saw a kitchen knife on the floor. So that was the metal sound I'd heard before she ran off. I took all my knives and locked them in the attic as well. I then asked a friend of mine to come to my house and be here when I tell her that she has to move out immediately and that I can't wait 30 days. During the conversation, I really tried to stay calm. I know she has a mental illness. I know she means no harm, even though I was so frustrated I couldn't hate her. I was mostly scared and tired. She, however, didn't even answer when I talked to her. She just kept staring out the window. She left the apartment and sent me a text instead saying that I was disrespectful for bringing a friend over to her place. Nighttime came and I thought this would be a quiet night finally. No coffee maker or saucepans. But at 3 a.m, I woke up by her burning dry coffee powder in a frying pan.
Oh, God.
At this moment, I just felt terrified of her. Her face was dead. Her eyes were black. I suspected that she had gone into a psychosis. I stopped the fire and she just ran off to the living room in silence. I knew she had an appointment with a psychiatrist the next day, and while she was away, I packed all of her things. I then sent her a text telling her that she needed to pick them up and give me my keys back, and that I will give her money for a hostel for the upcoming 26 days. But she didn't reply. The guy I was seeing came to keep me company in case she would fight about it, but she didn't. She left the keys without looking at us and left. Our co-workers who were friends with us both told me that she'd moved in with a guy that she was dating and that she stayed there for a few weeks till she somehow amazingly got an apartment of her own. She started working again and I was really happy to hear this. She seemed to do well. Then in January of this year, one of her old co-workers told me that Em had called her and told her that everything must burn, that she has a baby, that she must save, and other delusional stuff. So she called 112, which is the Swedish emergency number like 911. And she called them about this, but they hadn't taken it seriously. Emma then proceeded to burn her entire apartment down because the voices in her head was telling her that she has to burn everything to save her family and friends. Her neighbours had tried to rescue her from the fire, but she'd fought them off and ran back in and poured liquor on the fire to make it burn more. She was arrested and sentenced last week for aggravated arson. She will serve her time in a mental institution prison for a long time, possibly forever. What's ironic is that she will probably still be in the facility where I used to work and end up where she used to work herself. My old co-worker was a witness at the trial, and apparently she had stopped taking her medication because she thought it made her feel numb, and she thought she was stable enough to function without it. Apparently not. She'd also stopped taking her medication in the last few weeks when she stayed at my house. So when she stared blankly into space, she was going into psychosis. When she stared at me with a knife in her hand, when she burnt the frying pan that last night. It's disturbing to think about what would have happened to me and my cats if she had have stayed, or if I would have been a heavy sleeper. I also think about what would have happened to the baby that she'd snuck into before she was evicted. And yeah, I know it's crazy that I didn't just throw her out then, but it's complicated. The reason why I haven't been able to talk about it with my friends is because they sympathise with her and have minimised my experience, and they think that I make a bigger deal out of it than I believe it has been. I sort of understand it since they've never seen that darkness in her eyes that I saw those last couple of days. At the bottom of the post, there's an update where the writer has written a little bit more, and it says, I just remembered some other things that I wanted to add to the post. There were several times when I was going to work early in the morning that she occupied the bathroom by taking long baths. I patiently tried to wait till last minute before knocking and asking her if she could get up and get back in after I'd gotten ready and left for work. Just another thing that added to my frustration. I felt really ill one time when she was staying there. I didn't know at the time what it was, but I woke up early in the morning one day feeling very nauseated. On my way to the bathroom, I literally shit myself and threw up at the same time. Oh. It takes like 10 seconds to get to the bathroom, so you can imagine how bad it was when I didn't even make it. I had a really high fever and kept throwing up and shitting myself all morning. And anyone who's been this ill would understand that you want the bathroom to yourself. Actually, it's pretty understandable that you'd want to be completely alone when you're this ill. My head was spinning and I was nearly hallucinating from the high fevers. Anyway, working in healthcare, I also have a natural instinct of not wanting to spread infections. So my first thought was that besides wanting to be alone, I didn't want to risk giving whatever this was to Em. So I begged her the moment I noticed I was ill to please leave for her own sake. I could barely speak because it made me throw up that easily. Our friend in common had asked her to water her plants that week, so she had the keys to her place and could have been there alone. Em refused to leave, and I swear if I'd had the energy to slip out of the window and fall to my death, I would have, but I couldn't. I was half sitting, half lying on the toilet with a bucket in my lap. my head sort of resting in the bucket of puke because I couldn't hold it up with the high fever. And I just begged through whispers for her to leave so that she wouldn't be ill too. I told her, what if you get sick soon too? We can't share the toilet. I'll be in here all day. You should go to her place before it's too late, please. Eventually she left, pissed at me. It turned out I had a severe case of food poisoning and I was well again after 2 days. But my God, the fact that she refused to leave is something I felt I had to add to the story because it made me so frustrated too.
That's hideous.
I don't understand schizophrenia, but it just seems to me that she's a schizophrenic off her medication.
Yeah, it's terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know. I think if you know you've got schizophrenia and you don't take your medication, it's quite difficult, isn't it?
I hear it a lot though with people saying like, I don't want to take it because it makes me numb.
You feel, yeah. It must be incredibly horrible. But really then obviously, horrible. If you're not on your medication, you don't recognize the signs that you're going into a psychosis. You don't, because everything is real. So it must be very hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, how crazy.
And terrifying for people around you.
Yeah. Especially those waking up in the night and finding them like near you. Because she's right. How do you know that that's not happened before and you've just not woken up?
Yeah, you've just been asleep and she's been standing over you. She could have had a knife over her like multiple times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, hideous.
Gosh.
Scary when the brain goes wrong, eh?
Yeah. Yes.
Things that can happen.
Devastating. Yeah. Well, that's all of the stories for today, people.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Enjoyed that.
Yep. Well, I'm going to let you get on because you've got to get to work.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I'm going to go and get another hot drink and then go to work.
Oh, dear.
I know.
All right. Well, have fun.
All right. Yeah. Thanks. Have a good day. Enjoy the sunshine as much as you can.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll see everyone next time.
Bye.
Bye.
If you have enjoyed listening to our episodes, make sure you rate us and leave us a review on whatever platform you are listening.
We absolutely love hearing from you guys. So you can also help support our show by donating to our Buy Me a Coffee link. We will make sure that you get a massive shout out and a big thank you in our next week's episode.
You can also follow us on social media at Perplexed Podcasts. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and if you want to see more videos and blooper reels, subscribe to our TikTok and YouTube channels.
You can also email us your stories at perplexedpodcasts@gmail.com.
And you can find all the relevant links in the episode descriptions. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.